the harder that you hit a putt, gravity has less of an effect to pull that ball into the hole.
Correct.
So it's more likely to lip out. A little bit hard on that one, huh? All right, so let's talk about speed.
Yep.
And with a lot of players, what would you say that most players are trying to achieve when they're over a putt and they go, I want to leave it X distance past the
dustbin lid, as people would say, yeah.
Yeah.
So I would say if you was talking more tour players, you'd probably see people may argue that they hit it further past than what the recreational golfer may do. Now, if you was to think of, say, the putt you've just hit there, we know how far past that's gone. But if people was trying to hit it, say, 9 inches past, the hole remains the same size. Whereas if it was trying to go at that speed, you would almost have the width of that flag. So it's about 1.4 inches for 36 inches past. Now, we know that's more than 36 inches past. So all of a sudden, the target's just getting smaller and smaller.
Yeah.
So we're relying on a very good read.
Yeah.
And also for it to hit the centre of the cup. So if you was just even on anywhere on the screen trying to hit it 9 inches past, one, you'll probably notice your speed control will get better, but also you'll probably allow for more break, because it's almost like, I always use the analogy of rolling a marble on a piece of glass. Any slight tilt, you'd never roll it straight at the hole, because if it misses, it's going. You would almost allow for more break for it to roll in. So even speed drills with better players, they can all hit a good putt. But I think if you focus on the 9 inches past, it's not a bad feeling to gauge.
Yeah, I find that when I'm coaching players in putting, I'm certainly not an expert like yourself, but the general rule of thumb for most players is they aim too straight.
Correct.
And then they hit it too hard trying to hold the line.
Yeah.
As opposed to what you just said is that if you are focusing, and I probably even take it to the next level of simplicity, and say that you want to imagine, for most golfers, let's say that you're trying to avoid 3 putts as such. And if they're from here and they're putting to that pin, I would say like a game of lawn bowls, and that's a jack, and you want to try and get your ball finishing as close to the hole as possible.
Yeah.
And based on what you were just talking about there, is just like the harder that you hit a putt, gravity has less of an effect to pull that ball into the hole.
Correct.
So it's more likely to lip out.
Lip out, and if it lips out, it's actually going a decent distance past. Whereas if it is dying in, it could grab the edge of the hole, and then again gravity will take that into the cup as well.
Yeah, so with tour players, the majority of them are trying to hit it about 9 inches past. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, I mean, based on the aim point, what you may find is if you was to use someone like Matthew Fitzpatrick, who people may say is an aggressive type of putter, but the fact that if, I would say, trying to get the best results with a recreational golfer or a club golfer, whatever you may call it, Matt's precision of his putting is far superior, and that's no disrespect to club golfers, but he obviously practices every day. He's not working an office job or anything like that, so his tendencies he manages so well. But I think again, if you just knock the 3 putts off people's rounds, they're gonna save shots. Putting well correlates to saving shots. If I told someone to hit a driver 20 yards longer and then play their next club comp, doesn't guarantee to save shots. But if you just said to them, right, let's say your next club golf round, you don't 3-putt, they'll be like, oh, I might save 2 shots. So it does correlate to actually saving shots. So I think everyone strives for certain things, but if they control the speed, they're not going to be a million miles away. That's for sure.
It's one of those things as well, right? If you look at, let's say a scratch handicapper, they go out, they play this golf course here, they shoot 72, and they're probably having 32 putts. Let's be honest. And from that, that's just under half of the total shots that this player's making is from putting.
Correct.
And then if you look at what a recreational golfer would do with the amount of time that they practice the different areas, chipping, full swing, putting, and I'm guilty of it, is that a lot of players don't really spend enough time on this area of the game, right?
Correct. And it's the other thing as well, even when you've got the kid golfers, is trying to make this area cool.
Yeah.
Everyone wants to hit driver 5, wants to shape shots. But again, the only probably cool thing people relate to putting is crazy golf.
Yeah.
So I get that people maybe don't want to think of too much of practice an hour, an hour, an hour, an hour.
Yeah.
So I would, if I was giving any advice to a club golfer, I would definitely try and focus on speed. Just have one ball, go to different holes, gauge the putt, see where the breaks are. And again, if they putt well with pace, they're not going to be a million miles away. If you stood on a right to left putt and you thought it was left to right, there may be a green reading issue. But I don't think it's going to be that extreme.
So for that one there, I hit that too hard.
So let's say that was too hard. So we could use this spirit level now, and I could work out and say, right, just something like that. It could be a T-peg, it could be anything, but all you're trying to do now is hit that putt and at least not hit the spirit level.
Okay, great. So when I'm going through this, what's like a little a tip or a hack that players can use from this distance? Let's say that they were standing up here, they seem to hit it all past all the time, right? A very typical kind of miss. Now, more than likely, I'm going to miss that one on the way back because the percentage and the expectation, like even pro golfers from that distance, what's the percentage that they'll make that one?
So let's say that's gone roughly 6 foot past, would be around the high 50%, 60%.
You see, most 20 handicappers would step up to that and be
it.
annoyed if they missed it, right?
I would guess if I was to pluck the number out, not having last year's stats, I'd say around 66% for that.
Yeah.
And then anything closer, it just jumps up high 80s, 90s.
Big time.
But even from 10 foot, it's just over 40%.
Yeah.
So where would a club, again, if I was to say that's the PJ Tour from last year, where would an 18 handicapper fit on that 40%? Yeah. So then it's just managing expectation. That's what I would say. If you can manage expectation and say, I wouldn't promise anyone they're going to hole every putt from here. Yeah. But if you can say within that spirit level, how many recreational golfers, let's say, would feel they could hole that, they would prefer to hole that than the first putt.
Oh yeah, so would I. Call me a recreational golfer.
So you're thinking of this jack, let's say that.
Yeah, okay. So let's say my tendency is to go out there and I bosh everything way past.
Yep.
And you're saying that players can then go to the practice screen, recommend that one ball at a time, not really getting a batch, just so you're randomizing your practice. It makes it a little bit more like the game, rather than just standing here and adapting from
almost block practice
from the previous putt. So I'm standing up here. Now, in my practice strokes here, should I be focusing on the cup and just getting a feel of just the sensation of what it would be like to create a stroke that would produce that relative length? Or what should I be feeling in my practice strokes here?
So depending on player, I think imagery is very powerful. So again, if that was a rubbish bin and I gave you a piece of rubbish to throw into that, you'd almost see the piece of rubbish going to that. So again, imagery is a powerful thing, especially when you put something like an obstacle, whether it's a T-peg, a ball, whatever you want behind it. Or the other thing I find a lot of people is actually when they go to hit a putt, they hit a putt. So all of a sudden the ball speed coming off a putter becomes a little bit uncontrollable.
It's jumping and it's bouncing.
Jumping, bouncing, people probably don't know their launch conditions, probably people don't know the loft of the putter, and now that affects the roll. So there is more things to it in a scientific point of view. But I would say definitely if I was to focus on the biggest advice, imagery. I think imagery is very, very powerful.
Okay, so when I have my practice strokes here, I'm standing close so I can then just walk straight in and recreate it. What I'm going to do here is I'm going to focus on that cup and just get a feel of what it would be like to get that ball rolling off the face and stopping anywhere near the cup.
So you're using imagery on this one?
Big time.
Okay.
Big time. Starting to build a bit of a picture there now, which is nice. See how I go. So a much better putt, and definitely going to be able to hold that one more often than not. Now, that first putt, I admit, I kind of stood up there and I looked at it and just hit it. And even playing golf my whole life, you can see how quickly it can get away from you.
Correct, especially on greens like this in Dubai. So whether it's grain in America or wherever, again, if you put to certain dark spots or shiny spots and let gravity then take over, you can't fight gravity. The ball's going to go. It's just don't apply so much force at impact for that then to become uncontrollable. Now, another big thing as well is people always talk about the high and low sides. So whether that putt missed on the right the same distance as the left, and they'll say one's better than the other. Well, my theory is they've both missed. So for me is slightly different speeds. If one was in the hole and one was low side, you'd say, well, the one in the hole's better. But I still go, well, either putt's not gone in, so if you was doing the left putt there and the same distance on the right, there'd be no difference in strokes gained.
Yeah.
Whether it's high or low.
Yeah.
So, which one is better?
I think it's one of those things that it's more of a banter that the recreational golfers would have with each other.
So
it's
if you
the pro side,
exactly,
it's the
if you hit it 6 foot past on the high side, oh, good putt.
Yeah. You
But
gave
it's like you've got the 6 foot coming back, whereas that one you're tapping in.
Yeah.
So again, it's a few myths, but that's my version of it. Again, 6 inch high and 6 inch low, they're both the same.
Yeah, exactly.
If you was recording stats, it's no difference in the stats.
So a couple of tangible takeaways here is that what we generally kind of look for is you are better off having a bit of an overread and an underhit, because most amateur golfers would tend to aim too straight and intuitively hit it harder trying to hold the line.
Correct.
When you are having your practice strokes, focus more on the visualization and the outcome of getting the ball stopping as close to the pin as possible, rather than focusing on the process too much, which we see a lot of players do.
Correct, yep.
Anything else you'd add to that?
I just think it's very easy to fall into, and you could use this with the whole game, I guess, too technical.
Yeah.
And I would say at a point it becomes very, very much imagination. So you look at junior golfers, there's no scar tissue there.
Yeah.
They see something, they hit it, and they don't necessarily react as angry as a guy might on a Saturday afternoon playing a medal. But that's how I would definitely have a take on it. Again, you can't hold everything.
Exactly.
There's human error. So I just think personally, if someone manages their speed, very good. And then let's say once you get closer, then you may look at your start directions to just minimise the dispersion. But me and you could start that ball slightly different there, but still hold the putt depending on the speed.
Yeah.
So people, when they've seen the PGA Tour and they see the sort of aim point and the big blue sort of trajectory, well, they all start differently.
Yeah.
So again, if the speed's right to match your line or to match my line or to match whoever's line, we could hold more putts.
Yeah, as long as the ball finishes closer to the hole, you're going to have less stress while you're out there playing.
Correct. I would base 9-10 inches past, even just as a drill. Yeah. One ball, go and mark it out, hit a few putts to different ones, and just see how you fare with that.
Yeah, definitely anything within that sort of boundary I'd feel comfortable.
Of course you would.
All right, nice work. Good job.